most of the people that wants to join are here, and the rest can join us as we go along. And again, from our side, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Visionary Circle. The topic for today is tweet by tweet. Just get something happened now here at my computer. Tweet by tweet, harnessing microblogging constraints to conquer blank page anxiety. So it has a very strong link with writing. Wu is our presenter for the day, and he's an associate lecturer at RMIT University. He earned his MFA in screenwriting while teaching at Stony Brook University, New York, as a Fulbright scholar. And just listening to that, I'm convinced that you are in good hands today. His films and screenplays have been featured at festivals in the Czech Republic, Germany, India, Italy, the United States, and Vietnam, and his presentation is now reaching South Africa as well. A strong believer in interdisciplinary cross-pollination, Wu has been recognized across multiple creative fields, winning accolades in children's literature, animation, and marketing communications. In 2017, Campaign Brief Asia named him one of the top 5 hottest creatives in Vietnam. Wu, we are looking forward to engage with you, and you are welcome to start. Tell us the rules of your engagement, and you can share your screen.
Sure. Thank you, Mary, for the nice introduction. And good morning, everyone. It's actually 2 p.m. from where I am, which is Vietnam. Thank you for being here in such an early hour in the morning. And I love to see that you come from different backgrounds. Some of you are researchers, some of you are learning designers, and maybe there are some teachers. I don't remember. So today the topic is about screenwriting. However, I consciously tailor it to make it relevant to different fields as well, because I know screenwriting is a very specific craft. However, the topic of today is not about the art of screenwriting, but more about how to help novice writers, aka students, overcome the fear of the blank page, which is, I guess, everyone in the audience can relate to, and I hope you can find bits and pieces of the presentation helpful for you in your daily work. So I'm gonna share my screen right now. Let me know if you can see it full screen. Sharing. So Mary, please confirm if you see my full screen.
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. Give me a second. I'll adjust the interface a little bit from my side. All right. I want to start my presentation with this woman, American writer Anne Lamott. She once recalled her little brother bursting into tears after a shocking realization. An extensive bird report assignment for his school was due the next day, and he had not written a single word. Then her father sat down beside the crying son, whispering the magic words. Bird by bird, buddy. Just take it, bird by bird. And it stayed with Anne Lamott throughout her beautiful writing career. Now, as researchers and instructional designers, I know that you write in some capacity, okay? And I hope that you agree with me that writing itself is a vulnerable act. Whether consciously or not, you expose parts of yourself for the world to see. So a little bit of context. In screenwriting, 1 page is generally equal to 1 minute of screen time. So when you see a movie, which is like an hour and a half long, it would mean 90 pages of screenplay. Okay, so for screenwriters, having to write 90 plus pages of feature scripts with round after round of revision sounds like a pain in the ass. So there are only 2 choices. You either cry like that little boy at the impossible thought of doing it, or you do it anyway. beat by beat, scene by scene, bird by bird. 2 years ago, I got a chance to create and to teach a screenwriting course for undergrad students at Stony Brook University in New York. And that little story from Anne Lamott came to mind. Okay, so I asked myself how to make that anecdote relevant to my Gen Z students who live and breathe social media. And the answer came quite naturally to me. I decided to name the course Screenwriting Tweet by Tweet, using Twitter to break down the fundamental elements of a screenplay and thereby help the students overcome the intimidation of facing the blank page. Now let's talk a little bit about the use of Twitter in the classroom. So Twitter as a learning tool has been proven to support early stage writing processes, particularly pre-writing and idea generation. It scaffolds the transition from informal ideation, which values chaos and multi-directional exploration, to structured writing. The use of Twitter also aligns writing practices with the students' existing digital behaviors. Its 280 character limit helps sharpen focus, sentence economy, and vocabulary precision. Okay. However, it does risk oversimplification. And last but not least, it increases engagement and reduces writing apprehension. Now, talking about writing apprehension, so I majored in screenwriting for my master's degree, and I know this one all too well. So whenever I needed to sit down to write, I magically turned myself into Cinderella. So I suddenly felt the urge to clean the floor, to wash the clothes, to cook the food, to do everything that was not writing. I always chose housework over homework because the former was always less scary. So in a nutshell, writing apprehension is the tendency to avoid writing situations that involve evaluation. And prior research has shown that writing apprehension can lead to a number of impacts. Among them, the difficulty organizing ideas, reluctance to share work with the class, and relatively low marks, low course satisfaction, low confidence in their writing ability, and low willingness to pursue advanced writing courses. So far, the theoretical frameworks have investigated the context of academic writing, EFL writing, which is English as a foreign language, and content writing, without any particular studies on screenwriting yet. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper into the typical writing process of any kind. So there are 3 steps: planning, drafting, and editing. So it's a constant process where the writers shift between creative and critical thinking, sustained by feedback and discussion from others in the process. So in screenwriting context, those others could be the producer, could be the director, could be the actor, and could be the co-writer. Okay, and in the academic context for screenwriting, it could be your classmates or your teacher. So by becoming more aware of this process, writers can be encouraged to write increasingly from a place of trust rather than a place of fear. And the scope of this research focuses on the planning step of the process. Okay, now here comes the course and the assignment outline. So before week 1, students were required to submit a tweet about a first-time experience of doing something. Then for the first part of the semester, every week they must revise what they had previously tweeted, plus tweet about the next topic. So these tweets would then inform the composition of the first act of their actual screenplays, which are approximately 30 pages. Okay, so they spent the first half of the semester planning for the screenplay, and then the later half to actually write the pages for it. Now I'm going to walk you through each of the weekly topics of the tweet so that you can have like an approximation of what the students went through. This is all about tweeting. And so I need your collective help taking turns to read the tweet out loud. So Mary and Romanda, can you help me? Like whenever I need a volunteer, can you help me pick someone from the audience? And that person, please go ahead, unmute yourself and read the tweet aloud. So that's all I need for you. Okay, nothing awkward, nothing hard. Okay, just reading the tweet aloud for me. Thank you. And if you can, turn on your camera, but if you cannot, that's fine too. All right, so let's start with the first topic, which is first time experience tweet. So it's the first time the students they had ever done something in their lives. It could be the first kids, could be the first Christmas holiday away from their families, or the first time they said "mama" if they still remember it. So they had to tweet it before the first class in order that we could have something to work on already from day one. So I sent them a welcoming email with details of the Twitter account that we would use collectively as a class for the whole semester, and then a demo tweet from my own first time experience so that they would have like a rough idea of what to submit. Now, here comes. When I first came to the US, I stayed at an Airbnb for 2 weeks while looking for an apartment to rent. So this was it, what you're seeing right now. So the space, as you can see from the photo, the space was too small. I had to share my bed with my luggage. And what is worse, there were cockroaches everywhere, like literally everywhere, okay? So this was my demo tweet about that experience. So I need a volunteer to help me read it aloud. Mary, can you assign one person,
Angelique?
please? You can just unmute yourself and help me read it aloud.
Okay, Audrey, can you do that, please?
Yeah, remember to unmute yourself.
Romanda, is it possible for them to unmute themselves?
It seems that they are not able to, and now Romanda need to figure out settings.
Okay,
Marie,
while
maybe
you're figuring
go-
that out, maybe
Okay,
maybe the
let me
three of us
start.
can take turns.
Yeah, let me start.
Yeah, sure.
My first Airbnb review went like this: a paradise for cockroach lovers. You'll find them anywhere, and though they don't talk much, they're still friendlier than the host. If you want some sightseeing, this place also offers a great view of towers made of unwashed dishes.
Thank you. And with that, I hope to set a playful tone for the whole course, right? And here are some of the student submissions. I need a volunteer. Maybe I can read it, and then someone else would read the next one. So this is from James. My first time flying in a plane, I went to Florida when I was about 10 years old. I've flown one other time since, also to Florida. One day I'll see more of the world. Hashtag James. Okay, so James came in with this tweet, and after he was taught how to craft a beautiful and powerful first scene of a screenplay, here's the revision. Can someone help me read it?
After he reflected on how little of the world he had seen, he decided to throw a dart at a map of the world on the wall, and wherever it landed, he would drop everything and go to that place, no matter what.
Okay, so this was supposed to be a discussion, but because you cannot unmute yourself, I'm gonna just discuss it. Maybe with Mary and Romana, if you wanna chime in. So, what do you think would make what do you think makes the second one better than the first one in terms of a first scene of a screenplay?
I think when we look at the second one, there's more detail and something that you can visualize. And
Right.
yeah.
That's very important because film is a very specific medium. It's not like a novel. So you need to externalize an inner feeling as much as you can into an action so that you can film it visually, okay? And also like a few more things, that it introduces a decisive choice that reveals character. So like for screenwriting 101, it's just like the good rule of thumb that whenever you need to show the real self of a character, you need to put them under pressure, okay, so that they have no choice other than being their true self. And also it helps set up a clear dramatic question. Like where does the dart land and will he commit to it, right? So that's the revision. So normally in every class we would do what we call an intuitive tweet. So they can tweet about the response to the given prompts in any manner they wanted to. But then we would teach them, I would teach them the craft of screenwriting, and then they would do like a revision, still using the tweet format. All right, so this is the first example. Here comes the second one. My first time drinking matcha was not in its conventional form, but rather in a more Americanized drink. It was called a mocha matcha latte, and it was quite really bad. But at least I tried something new. Maybe I should give matcha a second chance in original form. Hashtag Alfonso. So, Romanda, can you help me read the revision? If you're still there, or Mary, you can.
I am here, yes. The menu was overwhelming. The coffee drinking novice I was. I was panicking. It was my turn to order mocha matcha latte. I never tried anything new, I thought. Thinking I looked unique, I got it. As the drink made contact with my taste buds, alarm bells rang. Never to order again.
Thank you. So the original tweet tells us what happened, but the revised one lets us experience it firsthand. Okay, so it sets the scene immediately with a specific prop, which is the menu, and also the character's panicking reaction. It also builds up the tension and withholds the payoff until the very end of the scene with a very provocative image of the taste buds alarm bells. Okay, so I can easily see this as, you know, like a scene, like an opening scene of an animation, which is very rich in sight and sound. And of course, there's still room for improvement. For example, like the inner thoughts can be externalized further. But like, what more can I ask for like a first week exercise, right? So something like this would be good enough for them to move forward to the next topic. And the next one is what we call the calm tweets. So a little bit of context. A calm, which is short for comparable, is a reference title of a movie that you use to quickly pitch your film projects. Okay. For example, you can say something like, okay, my movie is like Parasite meeting The Sopranos. Or you can say it's Squid Game, but taking place within like a virtual cult called Visionary Circle, for example. So that way, potential investors come to understand what your project feels like in the market. Okay, so that's the role of a com. So the craft I wanted to teach them here is to generate movie ideas, and the task was to pick their favorite movies summary on IMDb, which is a famous platform for movie summaries, and then change at least three elements in the summary. Okay, I'm gonna give you some examples later on. And this exercise was inspired by a quote from Dan Kwan, one of the two directors and screenwriters of Everything Everywhere All at Once. And he said, writing and directing this film is like putting my mom in the Matrix. Okay, so this is like the shortcut for you to talk about your movie in a few words using a reference of an existing movie title. Okay, so what I did was to pull up the IMDb page for my all-time favorite movie, which is The Lobster. And here's the original version of the summary. In the dystopian near future, according to the laws of the city, single people are taken to the hotel where they are obliged to find a romantic partner in 45 days, or they are transformed into beasts and sent off into the woods. Okay, so the elements that I put in bold are the things that they would together as a class help me change to create their own summary. Okay, so can someone help me read the revised version?
Angelique, can you try again?
Yes. In
Hey.
I don't know what that word is, dystopian.
Dystopian.
Okay. In dystopian near future, according to the laws of the city, single people are taken to the hotel where they are obliged to find a romantic partner in 45 days, and they transformed into beasts and sent off to the woods, into the woods.
Okay, so that was the original summary on IMDb. Can you also help me read the tweets version of it, where the students made changes to it? Yeah, sure.
In a dystopian near future, is it that the first one then?
Yes.
Yeah.
According to the laws of Shawshank, prisoners are taken to the hotel where they are obliged to find redemption in 45 days, or they're transformed into clocks and sent off into packaging department.
Okay, so they helped me as a class to help me like adjust and modify my favorite movie into something else. Okay, and it's so weird. I think the revision is like even weirder than the original one, and it's good. It's what I expected from them. Now, here are some other submissions from the students. I think we don't need to read the original version. Can someone help me read the tweet version of it?
Audrey, can you do that?
The tweet version. In a war-torn world of food magic, a young boy falling from the sky undertake a dangerous, mystic quest to fulfill his destiny as the world's best chef and bring peace to the world.
Thank you. And here's another one. Can someone else help me read the tweet version of Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Francis, can you do that?
Sure. A middle-aged French refugee is swept up into an insane adventure in which she can seek love only by exploring other universes and correcting the lives she could have ruined. #Amal.
Thank you. So for this week, I didn't request the students to revise and resubmit those tweets. Rather, I gave them further prompts and mind mapping techniques because, using a calm is just like one of the techniques. There are many others, like you can base your movie idea on a dream or a place or character or speculative premise so that they could come up with, lots and lots of idea because for the brainstorming process, it's all about the quantity of ideas without premature judgment. So quantity over quality. That's why I didn't ask them to, further craft this. I think it's not as helpful as, having them come up with more and more ideas. Okay, so that was the task after the exercise of this week. And here comes the next exercise, which is the logline tweet. So again, a little bit of context. So the logline is a one-sentence summary of a movie. Okay, so you use that to pitch your idea to a producer, and actually, the students were already exposed to the log lines without knowing it. Actually, the summaries that you just helped me read aloud, they are log lines of those movies. Okay, so last time they only needed to replace elements in an existing log line. So this time they had to write an original log line on their own based on the ideas they had generated. Okay, so just the principle behind a strong log line. So to be effective, a log line must convey three things: who the story is about, what they want, which is the goal, and what stands in their way, which is the obstacle. Okay, so can someone help me read the original version of this one? So this is the intuitive tweet that they came to class with.
Francisca, can you do that?
Sure. Marcus, a soccer D1 college student, one of the top stars in his school for 2 years in a row, whose dream was to play in the MLS, loses his leg. And the inability to play for the team forces him to quit due to an unfortunate accident on his birthday.
So we do get a sense of what the story is about. However, there's a lack of focus, and also it feels a little bit clunky there. Just the way the student phrased the log line. Okay, and here's the revision after they have learned how to craft a powerful one. Can someone help me read it?
Lindiwe, can you read that? Lindiwe?
I can do it right now.
Sorry,
And
I
then
was
you can do it
muted.
next time.
She's there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me now?
Thank
Should
you.
I read the revised one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. On his 20th birthday, a promising colleague A soccer star's dream of playing in the major league may have been shattered by a life-changing incident.
Thank you. Much shorter, much more focused, and the traumatic question is much clearer. All right. Now here's another example, and this student actually she cheated. She used 2 tweets to talk about the story because while she was or only given one. Okay, so I think we can skip the original one and go ahead to read. Help me read the revised one.
Cisco?
I think they are on mute. I can do it.
Okay.
And save. Yeah. An aspiring painter seeks solace in her rise to stardom, only to find that fame will awaken the ghosts in her tumultuous past. Okay, so again, much more concise, a clear sense of who it is, what they want, and what stands in their way. Okay, so just the form tweet of Twitter enable them to do something like this, and we're gonna discuss that later on. But just think about it. Just think about like how you can use constraints to your own advantage. Okay, to sharpen things instead of seeing it as a limit. Now, protagonist versus antagonist. So protagonist is like the good guy and antagonist is like the bad guy in the movie. Okay. So the task is to describe the protagonist and antagonist in broad strokes. Okay, just like the overview of the characters. And the craft here that I wanted to teach them is to dimensionalize the characters, meaning they should not be flat. They should not be one-sided. Okay, they should be complicated because we are more interested in complicated people. We love people with contrasts and conflicts and like irrational things about them. Those are the interesting people that we want to follow, and they're good for movies. Okay, and so I was inspired by this quote by Tony Tost. He said, strong lead characters often can be described as this, X, but also Y. Okay, so think about this for a second. X, but also Y. So there's some conflict either within a character or in the split between who they are and who they present themselves to be to the world. Okay, so that's what drives the story. The X and Y, the tension and the dynamics between two parts of themselves would be what drives the story. Now, here are some examples from pop culture movies. Breaking Bad, an underpaid chemistry teacher, but also making money by cooking meth. Okay, so there are two conflicting sides to one character. This is from Honora, the Oscar winner 2 years ago. A sex worker, but also a romantic, hoping the transaction might turn real. Okay, so that's for the protagonist. For antagonists, I was inspired by this quote by Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. The history of villains is much more entertaining than that of heroes because monsters are not born, they are created. So when it comes to building villains, it's easy to think of them as totally bad, but I wanted to level up. Okay, in terms of the student skills, I want them to make even the villains relatable to the audience in some capacity. So that's why there's a sense of backstory. There's like a hidden because to why they are the way they are. And here are some examples from pop culture. So the Joker, a social anarchist because he believes order is a comforting lie. Okay, so there's a reason why he is who he is. Maleficent, a vengeful fairy because her love was betrayed. Okay, so now we see the humanity of even the evilest villains. And here's an example from a student. I think we can skip the original version and can someone help me read the revision? So I gave them 2 tweets, one for the protagonist and one for the antagonist of their story.
Kuslula, can you read that?
I think they are on mute. I can do it this time. So protagonist, a strong, bright military soldier, but also a weak, dark-hearted person. Okay, so you can see the contrast. Okay, outwardly, he's a strong person. He's in the army, okay? But inwardly, he's weak, he's dark-hearted, and maybe he went through something in the past, which we would explore in the real screenplay. And for the antagonist, which is his friend, like the protagonist's friend, a manipulative person because of the torment he received during his time in the army. Okay, so we know this person is manipulative, but we also learn why they are the way they are. Okay, what they have went through to make them the person they are today. So this is better than the original tweets, which could feel a little bit flat and one-sided. Okay, so characters like these would make us want to lean in the film more. All right, and so that is the protagonist and antagonist tweets exercise. And here comes the last exercise, which is about structure. So this is a little bit simplistic. However, it's helpful for beginners. Okay, the thinking behind is you can break any story into 8 sequences. Okay, and here come the 8 sequences. So you have sequence 1, which is introduction, where you establish the protagonist, you establish the world, and you establish the emotional tone of the story. Sequence 2 is about dilemma. So you present a central problem or decision that pulls the protagonist out of the comfort zone. Sequence 3 would be first obstacle. The protagonist now takes action, but quickly faces resistance and complications. Sequence 4 is the midpoint. Okay, it's like a major revelation or like a turning point that changes the stakes and changes the direction of the whole story. Okay, so as soon as you get to the midpoint, it negates everything that you knew about the story earlier. Sequence 5 is twists and turns. So those are conflicts escalating as plans fail, or secrets emerge, or pressure intensifies. Okay, and sequence 6 would be culmination or low point. So everything appears lost as the protagonist hits their emotional and practical breaking points. And sequence 7 would be the climax, where the protagonist confronts the core conflict in the story's most decisive moments. This is where they learn the lesson, and this is where we see the darkest truth within themselves. And sequence 8 would be resolution. We show the aftermath of the climax and how the characters or the world around them have changed as a result of the action. Okay, so I think we don't have time to read aloud these 8 sequences, but I just I hope you get the idea by just like looking at the slide. So I gave the students, like each of the students, 8 tweets, and each tweet would act as one sequence of the story. Okay, so for this one, which is Brandon, so he created a very bittersweet story about 2 stepbrothers, and he managed to condense the story into 8 tweets, which I think was beautiful. Okay, we can skip this one now. So that was the first part of the course, which is the focus of my research. So I will come to the next section, which is the research design. So I had 2 research questions. The first one is, how does the microblogging approach affect the students' writing apprehension, especially when transitioning to long-form screenwriting tasks? Because after the tweets, they would have to write the actual pages. Okay, for the second half of the semester. And then the second question would be, how do students perceive the role of tweeters, formal constraints, which is 280 character limits in the screenwriting process? And in order to pursue the answers to those 2 questions, I did some reflective practitioner research using qualitative data from 2 sources. The first one is the end of semester student surveys, and there were like 13 of them. and alumni feedback, and there were 4 of them. So I tried my best to reach out to all of them. However, I only get 4 replies. Okay, maybe they were too busy with their current life. Maybe they already graduated and the email wouldn't work anymore, or maybe they, I don't know, hate the teacher or something. So thematic analysis. Okay, so I did thematic analysis based on the responses that I got. And here are some findings. So for research question number 1, the framework, okay, the framework, theoretical framework highlights apprehension as avoidance of evaluative writing, and it's often rooted in perceived risk and blank page fear. So in this course, Twitter sort of mitigated the apprehension by creating a low stakes environment. So the students, okay, a little bit of context again, the students, they would receive a full 30% of the total coursework mark by submitting all the required tweets with an improved revision. Okay, and the revisions, they didn't have to be perfect. As long as I could see some sense of improvement, I would give them full marks. And that's why that's the low stakes environment that I intentionally created for them, so that could overcome the fear of starting to write something. And the weekly exercises also help scaffolding from informal ideation to structured writing to foster self-trust over blank page fear. And from the alumni feedback, we can see one alumnus noted that feeling way better and more confident, which directly counters the negative self-beliefs. Another said, so much easier to come up with ideas, which addresses the generation blocks. Okay, and my favorite example here, I used to procrastinate, but thanks to the tweeting exercises, I was able to set a goal to work on 5 pages a week. So this illustrates how constraints reduce procrastination. Okay, which is procrastination, as we know, is an indicator of apprehension, of writing apprehension. Okay, and it helps ease the shift to long form script writing, as we can see from the quotes. And the surveys from the end of course surveys echo this, showing that the exercises helped reduce the students' reluctance to share their writing and boosted their satisfaction. So the fear was countered through engagement, as you can see here, engaging, relevant, and fun. And they could share their thoughts freely without any fear of judgment. Now, so overall, my conclusion was microblogging reduces writing apprehension by making ideation low stakes. Also, the approach conquers blank page anxiety, increases engagement, and eases the shift to long form writing by building from micro ideas. For research question number 2, okay, so the theoretical framework from prior research indicates that benefits like sharpened focus or sentence economy or vocabulary precision. Although it could risk oversimplification of the contents they create. And so for this course, the students, they perceived the 280 character limit as an asset, which is a plus and not a minus, okay? Because it enabled their succinctness without losing the depth of the story they wanted to tell. So one alumnus said, I very much enjoy the Twitter format. It really taught me to be succinct and efficient in my writing. So this, again, ties back to the precision aspect of the literature review. Another said, it helped me narrow down the story to a simple and captivating sentence, something that people can understand. And this shows how limits distill accents, like creating a log line to sell the stories in one sentences. And also some practical impacts that we can see here, like it helped organize my scenes before I was stuck, after I had a better idea and more confidence. So these reflect that constraints aid idea testing and structural formation. The surveys further expanded the benefits to character building. So what I found most valuable about these exercises is understanding the structure of a story and how to write characters and flesh them out. Interestingly, there was no mention of oversimplification risks. And my theory is that It's probably because, like, unlike prior studies where the tweets would be the final outcome, for this course, the tweets would just like act as a starting point instead of the end results. Okay, so oversimplification as the planning stage is fine, and that was the point of planning. Okay, you don't want to get into the details of things. That's for later. Okay, limitations and future directions. I don't think we have time for this, so I would love to use the time that we have left to open the floor for any questions you may have. I do have a few things to show you if we have more time. However, I think let's prioritize the Q&A session. So anything you may have, I'm going to stop sharing right now so that I can see you. Yeah, so any question you may have, just throw them at me. I'll try my best to answer.
Thank you, Vu. Is there any questions, Rumanda?
Thank you. Yes. Marie will know why I'm asking my question from this perspective. So in the era of generative AI, how do you design activities like these that still is original and you have the learner's voice and authentic creative thinking from their side?
Thank you. I think that's a good question. And I understand like the use of AI, which is rising these days. However, because I started this series of exercises from a personal place. Okay, I started by sharing my own experience, and I expected them to do the same. And I think, but just like by not being afraid of showing my vulnerability, I invited them to do the same. And also, if you look at the course structure, okay, so for the first half they would do all the tweets, and then for the second half they would write the actual pages, which is the first act of the screenplay, which is 30-page long. Now imagine if you put them, if you have to weight the options, it would be more painful to write the actual pages for something that you use AI to generate for the planning stage. Okay, so I think it's just logical for them to just do the tweets on their own, and then use that as the source material to inspire the actual screenplay. Because like writing the actual screenplay is very hard, very intimidating, very time consuming, and you wouldn't want to write something that was prompted by AI, because like now it's going to be on you. Okay, so I think I didn't formally like I did tell them not to use AI, but I didn't like formally give them any I don't know, punishments or like punishments warning in terms of using it. But I can confidently say that none of them use AI based on the things that I read. There was one example where, because there was a transition from moving from the tweets to the pages. So after the last exercise, which is, the 8 tweets for the 8 sequences, I allowed them to use like a Google Doc to actually flesh out their tweets, their sequences further without any word limits. And there was one student, I think there was, one of the students, I think, use AI to generate that content for that specific exercise. And I gave them just an overall warning of not to do so. And I think after that, everything went well without AI interference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from the audience? You are welcome to type a question as well if you don't want to speak.
Yeah, you can type it. I can read the chat box.
Any other questions?
So think about your own fields. Okay, so how you can use it can be word limits, or it can be some sort of limits or constraints to actually boost the students' confidence, to break it down to them into manageable scopes so that okay, it's not as fearful as they thought it would be.
I see there's a person typing, so we'll give the person to finish. But in the meantime, while I was listening to you, I was already in my mind going into used a similar practice when you start working with a student, and maybe reduce what you want to do to that 1 or 2 sentence kind of word limit. What's your problem? What's your rationale? What's your question? What's your title? Already there, if they can reduce that to a 1 sentence, we have something to work with. And I think that links to what you have said. Yeah, so for me that was
so they would have like that's a good observation, because like by the end of the series of exercises, they would have a pretty strong guideline to work on further for the actual screenplays.
Yes, definitely. Rumanda, I see your hand.
Well, they're still typing. I would just want to maybe say something that hooks onto what you just said, Dr. Marie. I was obviously also listening from my role as an instructional designer. How can this session be valuable to me? And it was quite insightful, because I've never thought of using tweets as an activity, and it's actually something relevant, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a tweet. Like seems like we're using, what's it called now, X or whatever. I can bring in other social medias that my target audience are using, and use that as a sort of like a create a way to have exciting activities, not your boring thing from write me a discussion and then say something on the discussion, that kind of thing. And then your X and Y framework, I think it sort of triggered to me also that I can create examples of how simple structure can help students think more deeply and create, meaningful things. So, that was just me while I was listening to you, thinking how this webinars, what you're sharing with us, I can apply in my day-to-day work. Thank you for giving me that idea.
Thank you for the reflection. And it's important that it is like a social media platform, because like I presented this in Singapore where I met Mary, and then at the end someone asked me like would it be the same if I used like some sort of like LMS platform from my school? And I wasn't sure, but then when I thought about it, I think the answer is no. Like it wouldn't be the same, because like by using social media, you integrate it into like an existing behavior of the students, what they are already doing. And if you bring the same, even if you bring the same 280 character limits or constraint to like Blackboard or some sort of LMS platforms, it would take away the joy of it a little bit, I guess. So that's my take on it.
But the constraints also, yes, it takes the joy out sometimes, because you will get people that want to say more. But it also learns you the value of words and how to use your words wisely. And I think also it teaches them to say things that has an impact, that's powerful, with less words, especially in today's day and age, where people who say a lot, or if you see a long thing to read, you just skip it. We are living in a society where things need to happen now and quickly. So no, I actually see the constraint as them building a new skill. Okay.
Right.
Give someone else a chance now.
Anybody else that wants to say something?
I'm glad that you raised that point, because now if you look back at the objective from the beginning, writing 90 to 120 pages is so intimidating. Okay, and now the frustration of the character limit from the tweets, that is intentional. I wanted to create some sort of frustration in them, so that now they value it when they have all the words to bring about the ideas in the second half of the semester. So I think I wanted to change their mindset from I have too many pages to write into the mindset of, oh, I only have so many pages to write. So what should I put on the page and what should I leave out? So that sense of frustration, like what you mentioned, is crucial because that would lead them to shift their mindsets.
I agree, yes.
Someone was typing, but I don't see anything in the chat box. So we have 4 minutes left. Either I can answer a few more questions, or I can show you the very last exercise that I did with the students, which is not about the tweets.
You can show the last exercise, and then we'll close the session at 10.
Okay, thank you. Let me share it, and I need maybe Mary and Romana to help me again read the submissions. Okay. Let me know if you see my screen in full.
Okay.
Sharing. Do you see it in full yet?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, so this is the last exercise, and literally the last exercise, meaning just like a few moments before they walked out of my last class. Okay, I asked them to do this exercise if they wanted to get extra credits. And the task was to write yourself a note about why you wanted to write this screenplay. Okay, and the format of it, okay, forget about the tweets. It's not about the word limits anymore. It's about being true to yourself, being vulnerable. And so I asked them to send themselves an email addressing themselves using the second person pronoun, you. Okay, so it's gonna be dear. The title of the email would be dear, and then their name, and then they would talk to their future selves about why they wanted to write the screenplay. So let's take turns to read those. Mary and Ramanda, can you help? Yeah, Mary, can you help me read the first one? Kathy.
Dear Kathy,
Yeah.
at first you got the inspiration because you were suffering from all those terrible nightmares every day. So you were like, why not create something out of it? If you do a good job writing your script, then at least you are not suffering for nothing. Also, you wanted to see how your protagonist can overcome obstacles in her life. So maybe you can get motivation and inspiration from your characters. Another reason might be that there are not many changes in your life that you can write whatever you like for school. So although you still find it torturing to write 10 pages per week, you have to admit that you do enjoy the time being alone, actually being with your characters. Whenever you are writing, it feels good to immerse yourself in your world.
Thank you. Romana, can you help me read the second one from Amal?
Story is important as it is a unique perspective on the Indian high school life and how Western influence seep in. Your story is important to you as you felt that the shared experience of being losers in high school while aspiring to do something more than fitting into social structure of high school resonates with you. You feel as though you want to dialogue to be very real to how you talk to your friends. You want to tell the story of 3 people who have love for each others despite how much they rag on much of everything in their life. You want to tell a unique Indian comedy that is true to your life and your struggle.
Thank you. And I'm gonna read the third one. Dear Tenzin, you want to tell your story because you never believed in true love, but once you met your person, you realized you guys truly love each other. You didn't come from parents who were super loving to each other, so you lost hope. You date your best friend and realize you never gave up on each other. You want to give a sense of hope even through a situation of failure. And then the next one, dear Alfonso, you love music. It's always been a passion. Ever since you first picked a trumpet in the 4th grade, you knew music would be a part of your life. Musical interests evolved. Your love for the 90s hip-hop shifted to alternative rock before gradually shifting to 80s new wave and then stark discovery of 90s IDM and jungle. Your parents always pushed for you to become a musician, and you were good, very good. The best trumpet player in the school, actually. COVID really gave you a hard hit for your musical aspirations, making it difficult for you to find motivation to play. But you always loved music and always wanted to explore more. Cinema was a growing passion and really took off for you in freshman year. Remember when you watched A Clockwork Orange 3 times in a weekend? The cinematography, writing, and production design so captivating and engaging. You remember that you said if you were to make a movie, you wanted it to be a Kubrick film. Then you realized you can be involved in the music world, but tell a story about it. And then you listened to Mahler, and you loved it, and you needed more. This was a catalyst for you. Keep going. Okay, so to finish, something is important, but I think it is just as important to remember why you began. Okay, so I got very emotional, even now when I read those notes, and even if the students, if they forget everything that I taught them throughout the course, this is the one thing I want them to remember. Because like to me, that at the end of the day, what is the point of making art if not to find yourself? And hopefully in doing so, you help others find themselves as well. And I want to leave the presentation with that. Thank you for today, and this is where you can find me on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing in case you want to have any conclusive remarks.
Thank you so much, Vu. I think it's all, for me personally, it's always nice to see things from a different perspective and also hear from experiences from a different subject field, and then thinking about how it can translate to what I am doing as well, and maybe help in other issues that I have in the same kind of environment. So we really appreciate that. We have come to the session, so if there's any questions while I'm doing the closing remarks, you're welcome to type. But yeah, other than that, I know people have other meetings. I just want to remind you that FODIS, the call for papers, are open. It will again be in October, and it's free and online. So you are welcome to register either as a presenter or as a participant. And then we will have the recording of this uploaded to our group in LinkedIn. So if you want to share that or you want to revisit some of the ideas, you are welcome to do so. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you for coming and taking time from your workday to be present today at Visionary Circle. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Vu.
Thank you. Bye.